Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Fitness Uncovered podcast. Today we're here to talk about
a lot of stuff.
Women.
But mainly
girls.
Women's fitness.
We're
All
here
things fitness
joined
for women.
We joined on my right with our two new guests, our first guests that are here in person in the studio with us. Ladies, please introduce yourselves. So what do you do? Why are you here?
Okay, I will go first. Hello. I am Morgan Shapiro. I am a personal trainer for, I think, 11 years now.
Wow. You got
I
some
know.
competition.
I know. Yeah. So it's been a while, maybe approaching 12, honestly. Personal trainer. I have my own online coaching app. I train clients in person. I work on television with Channel 10 News on a show called SoFlo Health, where we do like health, lifestyle, fitness segments, so a little bit of television. All things health, lifestyle, fitness. I work with a supplement company, like all within the realm of health and fitness. Yeah,
Cool.
That's me.
Nice.
But trainer by trade, fitness obsessed in the heart.
We have
That's what's up.
two dinosaurs of the training industry with us today.
Yes.
she's got more training experience than us and more camera experience than
Yeah,
us.
for sure.
Do you want to take my job as the host of the podcast?
I mean, I guess we'll see.
All right.
Well, hello. I am Emily Silber. I have been a personal trainer for 6 years. I currently work at Ultimate Sports Institute in Weston. So if you guys need any trainer in Weston, check out Ultimate Sports. They are the best. I also have a women empowerment activewear brand, so I do that as well. And yeah.
Which is very good. I rep it all the time.
Cool.
My
So-
favorite clothes.
Morgan's my influencer.
That I am.
So fellas, if you're looking for gifts for your ladies, or ladies if you're looking for some apparel, check her stuff out. She'll be up on
Absolutely.
our Instagram as well.
Yeah,
Cool.
check it out. You won't be disappointed.
No.
Awesome. All right, gentlemen to my left, go ahead and reintroduce yourselves.
Jose, you can find me as Lifting for the Better on both Instagram and TikTok.
Got Coach Andres here, Andres Corrales. You can find me at AC_perform strong on Instagram and also on TikTok. Same handle.
Y'all know me, Nick, NB Performance Training. Whatever you need, send me a DM. Cool. Diving first into the first few topics of the day today. Topic is mainly the broad overall women's fitness. Should there be a difference in training between male and female?
Love this one.
And I think this is a complicated one. Not complicated. It's actually very simple.
We're going to say controversial.
Controversial.
I think, yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
That's the
yeah.
word.
Yeah. So, yeah. Is there?
So, I know, Andres, we've spoken about this before, and Emily too. I think with each client, it depends. And I know that's an annoying answer
We say it all
We
the time.
say
for a
that
lot
all
of
the
people,
time,
but
all
like
the time.
it really depends. So if someone has a specific goal for a sport or something, it depends. But generally speaking, my clients are actually 50% male, 50% female, and I train them the same way.
Right.
We're all squatting, we're all doing pull-ups, we're all bench pressing. Some, if they want to focus a little more on something, I can give them that. But as we all know, you can't spot reduce either. So sometimes, sure, you can show a certain area a little more love and sculpt it a little more, but that also depends on your genetics too. So my overall answer is no, you shouldn't train differently. Everyone should strength train. Everyone should do cardio. Everyone should do everything.
Yeah, I agree. For sure.
They're all human.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so absolutely. Our bodies.
What do you think, Emily?
I agree. There doesn't need to be a difference. I mean, of course, if you're practicing for a specific game or run or
Certain specific
Sports,
activity.
yeah, something specific, yeah. But generally for health and fitness, no, I think everyone should lift a barbell. I think everyone should, learn how to sprint and, the overall,
Human movement.
yeah.
Right. So I think the elements that you guys are explaining in terms of what elements you can incorporate into the programs are all the same. Would you change maybe the intensity / the volume / the more intricate parts of combining those elements together to adapt itself better to a woman's body as opposed to a man's body?
So I do that a lot too, depending on the day my client has had. And, if they come in really stressed with work, I change those things. Now, specifically with men and women, not so much unless the woman comes to me and is like, I just got my period today.
Yeah, you're gonna say that.
Mm.
Yeah,
Then
that's what I was looking
that's
for.
the only difference that I would factor in that a guy wouldn't come to me and be like, I just got my
Yeah.
period today. So,
Hopefully not.
but I always ask the same question. Now, one may be that answer. One may be, I'm really stressed out at work and I didn't sleep. So the end result may end up being the same. We take the volume down, we take all that stuff down, but that's the only like difference.
So it's not necessarily the gender difference. It's more of the what happens because of the gender difference.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And or just individual too,
Yeah.
right? Because what you guys were explaining at first is that there are certain things that you might want to focus on if you're playing a certain sport, if you have a certain activity, if you have a certain date that you're training for, or an event.
Which at that point it becomes like sport specific.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's way more dependent on what the person is trying to do, what their goals are, rather than what gender they are.
Yeah,
Correct.
absolutely.
Anything to add?
No, you guys
That's
are covering basically everything. So I'm just here
We love it. Hi, Ben.
listening to all this good information. Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah, everyone's different. You can't give everybody the same workout program.
No.
It's going to be different. Like she said, the amount of energy you have, everybody has ups and downs throughout their day. So by the time they get to the gym, you want to like accommodate to how they're feeling and how much energy they have to put and focus into the gym.
Yeah, the program may say one thing, but if someone didn't sleep the night before, sorry, we're not hitting a 1 rep max today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
just
think
not
that's
happening.
something very important. We've talked about that before in the podcast about intensity and it's how romantic it is to have that thought process of I'm going to go into the gym and beat the living, crap out of myself
Right.
just so that I can, feel like I
Work out.
did something.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
in reality, you want to manage that stress. You want to come in, and if you had a terrible night's sleep, if you didn't have good nutrition the day prior, you want to modify and adjust your workout to fit the amount of energy that you have and also the amount of recovery that you were able to get.
Yeah, that's something
And-
that I tell my clients all the time. We're not robots. We're
Yeah.
humans. And so you might have the best week of training and then the next week is going to be kind of a crappy week if you haven't been eating good, like you're supposed to, or sleeping because of the stress, or you change your job, or we discussed this plenty of times in our podcast. But either way, the goal is to show up.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right.
Show
Oh,
up
yeah.
and do your best for the day. And so if you do that, that's a win.
Whatever the goal
Build
is for the
habits.
day,
Right.
try your best to
Right. So
accomplish it.
if you're calling for a 1 rep max, maybe it's not a PR, but hey, you're hitting the heaviest 1 rep max that you can hit for that day.
Yeah, and I know Emily and I both, which is kind of why we bonded and became friends, but we're very passionate about like living a healthy, sustainable lifestyle. And I would rather someone be consistent than have those crazy intense weeks, because it's not, like you said, we're human. It's not practical, but I would still want you to show up, and maybe instead of 1 rep, you give me like 8 with a lot less weight, but you did movement today,
Right.
and that's a win.
Yeah.
So
And I think
Yeah, and it
it's
gets you closer to your end goal.
Yeah.
At the end of the
Absolutely.
day, it doesn't
One step.
matter as long as you're getting there, moving, and I call it little checks. You check off that little
Exactly.
block, and you're a little bit closer to what you want at the end.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
nice.
yeah.
I want to bring up a sentence that you said to segue us into our next topic, which is the women should get under the barbell. Everybody should get under the barbell.
Oh, hell yeah.
And I think
So
there's
important.
there's a lot of there's like a stigma still around girls doing heavy compound lifts,
Yeah.
which has been going away recently with the rise of powerlifting. I think it's like a pretty popular mainstream sport nowadays. In terms of getting away from that mindset of girls are going to be too masculine if they get under the bar, how can we change that mindset to the mass, like non-powerlifter mainstream girls that are trying to get into the gym?
Yeah, I feel like just by showing them, get yourself under the bar. There's so many misconceptions out there, and you got to just do it. And like, your body will show you. Like, I have a lot of female clients and I have a lot of young female clients. So I deal with kids from the age of like 13 to 16, and
Wow.
most of them are females. And the main problem comes from their parents not having the right education. They'll come to me, oh, my daughter is going to be in a fashion show. Don't have her lift too
Wow.
heavy because, I don't want her to get too bulky for the show. And I kind of just look at them and I say, do I look bulky?
Damn.
Because it's true, you can't be afraid of weight and how much you're lifting in the gym. It's part of health and keeping your bones strong and preventing injury, like that's so important.
That's a huge pressure for a parent to put on a 13-year-old.
Oh,
Yeah.
and
Oh my God.
It happens so much still nowadays, and
Not with
it's
girls.
very frustrating because I can say everything I know to the parent, but they still have this mindset of, oh, I just need my daughter to lose 5 pounds this month. And it's like, it's not realistic. What's realistic is something that is sustainable and that can be long term, because by the time your daughter is 15, what is she going to think? Oh, I want to lose weight. All right, I'm going to starve myself to lose these 5 pounds in a month. Then you're going to have real problems on your hands, you know? So it's just more of that education and having their kids come into the gym, me weight lift with them, and then they can actually see the progress that they're having. They're like, oh, okay, this is the right way to kind of.
It's funny you say that, because it's like the parent is paying you to help their child get in shape, but they're telling you what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
parents
that's-
love to
but
do
that's-
that.
They love
yeah.
it.
Parents love to
But-
tell you how to train their kids.
That's very common with
Make
our
sure they
with
do
our career.
cardio,
Yeah.
cardio.
Right.
Like,
We don't want her lifting.
No.
We don't want her to get big and bulky. Just
Why?
cardio.
Why do you think that? Why do you think that that's such a stigma? Why do you think that that's the way that these people think, that if you lift,
I think
then you're gonna
just
get bulky?
I don't know. I think a big part is social media, and like their parents, for example, back in the day, they had the magazines, right? And
There
they
you
had
go.
these girls like super skinny and a specific like aesthetic. Now it's definitely a little bit more of that thicker aesthetic, and I get my high school girls, oh, I want the booty, you know.
Yeah,
but
thick fit.
but
Yeah.
when it's like the parent pushing, especially those younger girls, it's really hard to kind of change that like stigma that they have in their mind, you know. And it's not about the way you look, it's about health. And like another thing is huge, and I know you guys have talked about this in the past, is like fat is very important to have, especially as a female. Like for your hormones to function properly,
Yeah.
you need fat. It's
It's
impossible
the difference
for
between like body fat and the food fat.
yeah,
Right.
it's
That's huge.
impossible for a girl to have a flat stomach and be healthy. You know, if you're not getting your period, that's a huge sign that we need to change something. You know, and it's just educating and you know, sharing other experiences from other clients and giving them tips that have worked for me personally to try to make the experience not as overwhelming, because I know that that can happen too. And mental health is huge for me, and I know with like fitness and wellness and the whole realm, there's so much that goes into it that you could put a list of 10 things and look at it and be like, oh shit, you know, where do
Yeah.
I start and what do I do and how do I get to this end goal that I have or that you have for your child? Like, we got to go one step at a time, and it's trial and error. It sucks, but that's how it is, you
Yep.
know?
Morgan, do you have any experiences with some things
So
that are
I
similar
experienced a lot of the moms, the young girls. I had one instance. It was, we don't want her to get big and bulky. We want her to lose weight. She'd show up to the sessions not eating anything. The mom would have her do cardio outside with like the, you know, like those garbage, not a garbage bag, but like, you know, those sweat suits. And I ended up
my
having
God.
to talk to my boss about it at the time, and I had to like not train that client anymore because it was getting to the point where it was dangerous. Like,
It's like child
she
abuse.
she couldn't show up
Oh, yeah.
and having not eaten anything. And yeah, it goes back to education. I think a lot of it is sadly the older generation. I don't think it was their fault, because we can see now how much social media influences us, and we can all be aware of it. But I think back then it was like the magazines, the commercials, what their mothers were telling them. I mean, I have a client in her 90s, and she still says what she thinks the perfect look is. And it's generational. And I feel like it's changed over the years. Like, I do think now our generation is definitely more inclined to strength training and mental health and all those things, and that's great. But now that we're working with the kids, we're dealing with the parents. And I mean, I have women clients in their 50s and 60s, and they fight me weekly. Like, my clothes are fitting tighter now. I'm lifting too much weight. And I'm like, well, maybe your clothes will fit differently, but also you're with me 2 hours a week. Let's also look at your diet. That could factor in too. Crazy thought. But yeah, I think a lot of it is generational, and it's working to change that. And I think that's our job. And, you know, as hard as it could be
Spreading the
sometimes
knowledge.
with the parents, like, it's worth it, because
Yeah.
we could change this for the years to come.
I think it's important to remind as well that the field of exercise science that we have now, it didn't exist back then
Yeah,
in like the 70s
absolutely.
and 80s. All the information that we have back then, it was just like you literally just had the guys that were like Arnold,
Yeah.
and the girls which were super skinny.
Yeah.
They did the what was it, the Zumba classes.
It was either the skinny Jane Fonda,
The Jane Fonda.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
There we
or
go.
the bodybuilding women that was just like
Yeah.
super jacked.
Yeah.
So
And
there was
that's-
no in between.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to bring up, because I wanted to see how much you think that kind of plays that role in today's world of, we have that social media exposure, especially with this older generation and now the newer generation. If you look at the people that are famous, especially females that are not famous but a little bit more, have more exposure, have more of a platform, that do lift, they might be a lot more advanced than the people that are in between, that the everyday person, the everyday woman that's lifting, that may not look like that, right? If you look at these people that are stepping on stage, that are powerlifting, that are at the top of their game, then genetics is also going to play a role in that. Maybe other stuff too, performance
I feel like
enhancement.
a lot of
Yeah.
misconceptions come out of that too with women, because they'll see these girls on social media getting ready for their competition, and they're like, I want to do that too. But they're kind of following what they see on social media. And
Yeah,
it's-
that's cool. Wait,
yeah,
that's
like I
cool.
want a
Try that.
six
Right.
pack.
Yeah.
How can I get my stomach to look like that? And then the influencer will show their meal for the day, and then that's what the audience or the person watching thinks, that's what I need to eat all the time to
Yeah.
look like this.
So it's still very much happening.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
It's just
in a
different.
it's a
Yeah.
different way, and I would love to say, and I do think it is healthier now than I think it was like before. Things were literally, if you look at some of the old magazine covers, like they would say, lose 20 pounds in 2 days, and you're like, what? But I think it comes down to like self-awareness and everyone just taking responsibility of their own consumption and what they're seeing, and understanding that we all compare ourselves to an extent, but you really have to learn and continue to work at truly loving yourself,
Yeah.
because mental health and self-love is like a full-time job, and your body is never going to be just like someone else's. You have to understand your
Amen.
own body shape and everything, and nothing wrong with working to change the look of it, but health first. Strength train to be strong, to prevent injury, work on your mental health for yourself, and oftentimes you end up looking better in the end.
Yeah,
So
it's a side
that's
effect.
just like, reap the benefits.
So how does that process look? Because I think a lot of people think that they look at people like that you're talking about, I want abs, I want those things, and they think it's a linear process to get there. If I just lose enough weight, I'll look like that, right? So how does the process actually look for these women that are lean, they still look feminine, they look great, yeah, and
Or
they
even
lost
like
some weight.
the girls that think I need to lose the fat first to then build the muscle.
Oh,
That's probably
yeah.
you probably hear that a lot. Yeah.
I mean, we may have different approaches, maybe, but like me personally, I think that it's a combination of things. I think definitely I don't lose the fat first. I think I build the muscle first. And I've gotten to a point now where I've kind of just been like chilling in maintenance, because it's just more sustainable for my life. And I'm able to, if I have like an event coming up, maybe I could cut slightly for like 2 weeks and I like look a little bit more shredded. I'm like, cool. But I think build the muscle, it's taking years, and eat to maintain your
think that's
energy,
huge.
your
That's huge.
sanity, and your menstrual cycle, because that is important, and I didn't get mine for so many years. So that's been like number one priority for the past like 3 years of mine. That, like I said, if I want to cut for like 2 weeks, I will, but generally speaking, build muscle and eat healthy, and then you don't really have that much fat to lose if you're kind of always chilling in maintenance,
Yeah.
give or
So you
take a little
don't-
chocolate.
You don't do long cuts is kind of what you're saying. You do shorter.
No,
Okay,
because
yeah.
for my mental health, it's just
I'm
not
the same.
great. Yeah.
I'm the same.
I like that too, because in my experience, obviously I'm a guy, but in my experience, when I do long cuts, I almost like desensitize myself to those changes in calories.
Yeah.
If I split up if I'm cutting, if I'm trying to lose weight or if I'm trying to gain weight, if I throw in some weeks in between where I do the opposite, I feel like I resensitize my body to those slight changes that I
Yeah.
might make in my diet.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
You
I
react
like
better
that.
to it. I mean,
Yeah.
and again, everyone's different. Some people may, react differently to different things, or like if you're in the bodybuilding community, like, nothing wrong with that. I know they go through different phases, but personally, it's just not for me. And whenever women come to me wanting to, achieve these crazy aesthetic goals, I do like an intensive consultation session trying to figure out why. Because I think as a coach, and sadly, I think it happens a lot with females, is, people will go to extremes, and I think the damage it can do is way more like detrimental than it is beneficial.
I think it's from the pressures of society that they have to look a certain way.
Yeah.
And that's why they want the results now,
Yeah.
like doing those long cuts and restricting calories and endless hours of cardio.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
I mean,
Which at the end of the day, it
the
only
end of the
makes
day.
you spin your wheels more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think that's no way to live. I mean, we like to go out to eat.
We gotta
and like
enjoy life, Food is meant to be enjoyed, but we also have to, take it with a balance.
Yeah,
And-
balance.
Yeah, and for me, it's the mental health. Like, I need to stay out of maintenance. If I have specific goals, I definitely can fluctuate, and I know what I need to do to get there. But for the most part, I need to stay at a nice maintenance, and I'll, push myself in the gym, and I definitely have to make sure I'm eating, weightlifting, and then just going by how I feel. I mean, sometimes I don't have energy, but I go to the gym and I call it play. I do whatever it is that feels
awesome.
good.
That mindset
And then
shift.
that's
I love
it.
that.
Whatever's
you know?
fun.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Oh,
whatever
yeah.
feels good. I'll do one, set of something and I'll move on. I'll go 2, 3, like whatever
Oh, I
it is
love
that
that.
I feel.
More
I
people should do that.
Yeah.
More
Yeah.
people
That's a
should
good
go to
idea.
the gym and
Play.
around because it is something that you want to get comfortable with.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like
Especially in
you go to
the
the gym,
first few years, I'd say that's like
yeah,
huge, man.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Huge.
Like when I go to the gym, obviously like I'm a trainer, so this is a little bit
Love
different.
it.
So I love it. But
Yeah.
But I think that you learn a lot about your body. You learn a lot about training. We've been talking about this today, all three of us. But you learn a lot about programming. Even
Yeah.
if you're
Oh,
not
yeah.
a trainer, if you start playing around with
Yeah.
certain things, you start figuring out what works, what doesn't.
Yeah.
What fits together.
I remember it was after my first competition that I did with Jose coaching me. I had a whole summer. Jose was like, "Nick, do you want to learn Olympic lifting?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll learn Olympic lifting." Just cause I'm never competing in Olympic lifting, but I'll learn it just
Yeah.
for the fun of it.
More skills.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much that can be done in the gym and moving your body that it doesn't have to be the standard bicep curl all the time or the squat or, those are all super great. But
Do
if
that
you're
for
not
enough years,
feeling
it's
it,
like
yeah, if you're not feeling it, just get yourself in there and move and whatever feels
That's how you stay
good.
consistent.
And that's what I do to help me like with that maintenance. If I'm not like feeling up to using that barbell, I'm like, all right, I'll go in, play with the kettlebell for a little bit, and I'm good.
I
Right.
think I'm going to take that advice because I'm very rigid.
Yeah.
And that's
Jose is
something that
very-
I have to loosen up a little bit because when I write a program, it's like, that's it.
But you have to give
That's-
yourself some grace because it's not always realistic. Sometimes you have like so much going on and you're so stressed out, and to follow a program and lift super heavy, it's like
Especially as a
Also,
trainer. I mean,
I
it's,
agree.
it's hard to not
I
stick to the
agree.
program. But like in my program this month, I actually scheduled, I don't call it play, but I think I'm going to rename it in my program. I scheduled one day where I put like freestyle cardio and then like chase the pump. And I don't know, I'm just going to go into the gym and like, I'm just going to chase the pump. Like, I don't know. I'm obviously not going to go hit like heavy compounds because I already have that in the other days.
programmed.
But I'm going to go and like hit some trads, hit some buys. I don't know. Maybe I'll dance at the end, get my heart rate up a little bit. Like, it's just
sometimes
fun.
I'll do some weird stuff on the turf. I don't care.
Yeah.
You guys can look at me. Like,
Yeah.
come join me.
Your vertical jumps are really good.
I still do it.
It's fun.
It's just that I'm pissed.
Yeah. But that's also okay because I feel like some people are just like more type A and they love that, and like there's nothing wrong with that. It's like we've maybe developed that from other things that we've, been through on our fitness journey, and we find it works for us, because if not, I start to feel like I'm too rigid and controlled, and maybe that reminds me of a time when I was like a little bit too controlling and strict with my food, and then because of that, maybe my social life was lacking and other things weren't that great in my life. So maybe it's a little bit more triggering for me to be that rigid, that I have to sprinkle in that time of play and flexibility, but that may not be the case for everyone. And maybe rigid is like what makes you thrive. So own that.
Everybody's
I'm gonna give it a
different.
try. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
give it a try. It can't hurt.
We all got to do what's best for us. But
Absolutely.
yeah, play around. I love to do that.
Because I've been doing it with
Play.
like playing basketball, but I think
that's
I do
good.
need to play a little bit more with my
Play a little
programming.
Ladies, you said, going again back to the question of the barbell, putting the barbell on your back and actually squatting. Please share with us some experiences that you have had with strength training and the benefits that you had with it in your whole life,
Personally,
personally.
so
How much has it changed your life?
I mean, like, oh my God, I love the barbell.
I wish I
feel like-
knew about the barbell when I was like 16.
Same. I feel like it was a secret. Like, I didn't start really using the barbell until like 2017. Before that, I was like training in college, very much like dumbbell squats and stuff. But not only did I make ridiculous strength gains and just like finally hit those newbie gains that, of course, are amazing and forever miss those. But I feel like the confidence that it gave me in the gym, like I am confident to go to any gym, even if I haven't been there. And because I know how to like work the barbell, I just have this confidence that like I can do anything, you know, like it really empowers you. And of course, I'm not always at my strongest. Like right now, I haven't been training for strength, but I know how to, and it's just super empowering, and I feel better, right? Like I'm more mobile, I'm stronger. Yeah. What about you?
Same. I love the barbell. It's changed my life. I try to lift it every single workout unless like I'm super run down, but I love it. I just recently started training my brother at the gym, and he's like new.
Is that the
yeah,
kid that I
you
see with
always
you all
see
the time?
me.
Yep.
And you know, he wants to get big. Every single day we work out, he has to lift the barbell. I don't care what it is that we're doing, but you got to pick it up.
Yeah.
It's the best thing. It's built so much strength and confidence. Like you said. Like I see all the machines are taken. I'll take the barbell. You know how much you could do with the barbell?
Yeah.
I could do my whole workout with the barbell.
And it's also one of the easiest tools to progressively overload.
Yeah.
Easiest, not saying that it's easy. I'm saying it's one of the most simple ways to progressively overload.
Yeah. There's so many things you can do with it too, not just like squats and deadlifts, overhead press, whatever. Landmine. Like once you put that barbell in a landmine, it's like your life changes, and it's just like such a great tool. I mean, I love machines. There's a time and a place, but I prefer my clients to be working with dumbbells and barbells.
Yeah.
It's true what you
Bands.
guys say, because I have a client that when she started, well, she wasn't my client then, but I used to work at a gym. I used to talk to people, you know, engage with people, get to know them. And I noticed she would never go into a room where there was a bunch of barbells.
Yeah.
And I was like, why are you always working out over here? Why don't you try this stuff, you know, that's over here? And she's like, oh no, only the fit people can go into that room.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, well, I don't know how to use a barbell. Like, I'm scared of using it. And I was like, come on in. Let me teach you. Let me show you. Taught her how to do a barbell squat and, you know, deadlifts and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, she just got super excited about coming to the gym. And she was like, I feel like a badass.
Yeah.
I feel like, so it does feel that feeling of
The
empowerment
confidence.
and confidence. Yeah.
In the beginning, there's definitely that intimidation because, you know, you see on social media, like the big fit people lifting, squatting with all this weight, but anyone can just go up to the barbell and use it.
It's like if someone's doing it, it probably means you can do it too.
Yeah.
Anyone. It's
Also-
crazy.
Exactly.
I think that with what you just said about the intimidation factor, I think a lot of people are intimidated by those people that are lifting that barbell in the beginning, when you wouldn't know it if you didn't ask, but they're probably so willing to help.
Oh, the nicest people are usually those people.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And we all started from zero. It's not like we all
Yeah.
walked
Yeah.
in and
Started
all
doing
of
the
a sudden
barbell.
put on
I
three-
used to be
three
afraid of the
plates on each
barbell.
side.
I mean, at the gym I worked at in college, and when I first started training there actually was a section of the gym labeled women's fitness. And in there was only a Smith machine. And looking back, I'm like, what I would do now, I would have like, I don't know, went to the city and like had something signed, and like I would have been so mad. But at the time, like, yeah, I used to hang out in there, and it basically was like, all right, this is where the women go. There's no barbells in here. So I think it goes back to like, you know, changing that script over
But
time.
to be honest, is Smith machine squatters when you guys started? Anybody?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All of us.
Oh,
No barbell
I
for me.
think,
I mean, yeah, I started with the Smith
Smith machine.
Yeah.
Even for the bench, I didn't. I didn't want to
I
do
didn't.
barbell.
I was like press when I started, not even Smith machine.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So, how far we've come.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, all
Which
of us.
they're all great tools, you know, but there's a time and a place.
And
The
just like
barbell is
you
awesome.
said, not putting, you know, because I think a lot of people, it's like, okay, if I squat, I can't squat heavy because I'm going to get hurt. You don't have to squat heavy at
No.
first. If anything, you shouldn't.
And you're not gonna get hurt if you aggressively overload.
So you want to start with whatever you can do, whatever isn't intimidating, even if it's just, not even the bar, even if it's just a kettlebell.
Right.
Yeah.
If you can't lift the bar, even if it's just a kettlebell, hold it in front of you, tuck it into your chest, and squat with that. And just like you said, play with it. Just get better. It's a skill. So, yeah.
Beautiful.
Slowly.
Segueing into the next topic, which I think is the most important one, and it's the one that I think we can get the most opinions out of. The hormonal difference between men and women and how that affects our training. Thoughts?
So
I think we spoke about this
a little bit,
on Instagram. Yep.
and Emily knows I'm like so passionate
Morgan
about this
is,
because I
like,
feel like
the
every time we
queen.
hang out, I'm like, Emily, I got my period today, and then this is my workout, and this, and I'll like text her like, this is what I'm eating this week because of this.
And I actually want you to tell me exactly what you told me in that DM as well about how you structure yourself.
So this is not the same for everyone too. Everyone's hormones are different. Like I'd mentioned previously, for many, many years, I wasn't getting my period. I think I was under eating, too low body fat percentage. I was super stressed physically in the gym, emotionally, self-induced, Virgo. I don't know if you guys are into astrology, but bit of a perfectionist. So definitely I've learned to improve upon that, but it was so bad that I wasn't getting my period. And obviously I knew it's not a good thing, right? So fast forward to a lot of years of just like checking in with my program, getting really into my emotional health, my spiritual health. I'm very healthy and I'm regular now, but I am very in touch with the changes that go on week by week. And again, for some, I've met some women that literally are like, oh, I didn't even know I was about to get my period. I've never PMS'd in my life. And I'm like, must be nice. But I changed my programming a little bit. Like I try to deload, every month I'll have like a deload week, and I try to make that the week of my menstrual cycle. I try to plan different events where I'm speaking publicly and stuff around that too. I don't want to be in front of a big crowd or on camera when I have a bunch of cramps. I also know that the PMS sometimes could make my decision making not as strong. So maybe I plan to structure certain business decisions I have to make around that. That's kind of like what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Like, he had made a post about like the 9-to-5 job and like women. What was it exactly?
So it was the fact that hormonal fluctuations for women are monthly as opposed to men, which are daily.
Right.
Yeah. So women shouldn't have the same work structure of a 9-to-5 the same as men can do.
Yeah, and he was saying a lot of like girls came back at him like
Oh,
hating,
yeah. Oh, my
hating on that,
goodness. Yeah.
which like I will say I have built the luxury of my job that I work for myself, and I'm able to plan certain things at certain weeks. Not everyone can, and they don't have the ability, so I understand that, but it is unfortunate because I have gotten so far by doing that. Like I know what weeks I'm gonna freaking nail it if I get in front of a crowd and make a presentation. I also know which weeks I may cry if my boyfriend doesn't give me, chocolate. Right. Like certain things are gonna happen, and like I said, it could be worse for some people than others. But I personally changed my programming around that. But some women don't need to, and I think it's a case by case basis. It also depends on what's going on in your life, how much you're training. Like for me, I think it hits me harder because I'm putting a lot of physical stress on my body constantly in the gym. So I think that matters too. But what about you? How do you feel?
I think a huge thing, not only the workouts, but the nutrition around it.
Yeah, I didn't talk about my
And
seeds.
Morgan, my cramps were horrible last month. What do I eat?
Yeah.
And she'll tell me, pumpkin seeds, go,
Yeah.
do it.
So there's certain phases of the cycle that I do a lot of seed cycling, and if you research seed cycling, it dates back to like thousands of years. But the 2 weeks before my menstrual cycle, I will have sunflower seeds and I think it's sesame seeds. And I can't explain it exactly to the hormone science, but basically throughout the cycle, right, your estrogen is increasing, your progesterone, all that stuff's happening. This helps to balance it out. So then when I'm on my period, I'm having flax seeds and pumpkin seeds for that week and the week after. And I've seen a lot of improvement with that.
Wait, can you repeat that again? Which ones are the ones that you take 2 weeks before?
So sunflower and sesame.
Sesame.
I believe. I'm going to get off this podcast and double check sunflower and sesame. And then after pumpkin seeds and flax seeds.
And that helps you alleviate
the cramping, for example, sunflower seeds are high in magnesium. And that's like helps a lot with stress, right? So I always try to make my oatmeal. Like you guys will see in my story, you'll be like, oh, that time of month, all right, she's got the pumpkin seeds in, you know what I mean? But I do those little things because I'm all about trying to treat things through nutrition first and the stress management. I also know the week before is probably when I need to slow down, do more journaling, do more meditating, really get in touch with my body and how I'm feeling. And then sometimes, and we won't go here in the podcast, but I take it as far as to really tap into like certain chakra meditations, and I focus a lot on my sacral chakra and like really try to get in touch with that part of my body because that's a direct relation to the cycle. But again, not everyone goes this far and not everyone's like that. But I think our menstrual cycles are a huge indication of our health and like a big part of being a woman. And I think we should
So
learn
women-
about it. It's empowering to know a lot about it.
Ladies,
and a big
you're gonna
thing
be very
is
lucky of
listening.
having Morgan as your.
Yeah.
Coach, yeah.
Yeah,
I think
Morgan
this needs
knows
to be
her
I'm
talked
very
about.
empathetic with your cycle.
Yeah, this needs to be talked about a lot more because as you're saying this, I'm thinking like, oh, this would be awesome to incorporate in my clients. But right now I'm struggling to think like, how do I even bring this up
Right.
without seeming almost insultive? You know,
And how do you
because
ask? Like,
how
here,
do
you
I-
on your period?
Right.
Here's some pumpkin
Especially-
seeds.
Especially me as a guy being a coach, like this needs to be more of a norm where
It needs to be seen as okay to ask
Absolutely.
that question. I think,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's a part of our body, just like going to the gym and working out your legs. I feel like it's something super important, and not a lot of people are like in tune with that part of their body. Like a big thing too in figuring out like your cycle and like when you're ovulating, when you're about to get your period, after your period, is listening to your body, finding those cues. You know, like throughout the month, there's weeks that you're more hungry or less hungry,
Or more
and-
bloated, and that's
Yeah.
okay. Like you have a uterus, you're not supposed to be completely flat.
Yeah.
It's okay to have that shape. So it's like, yeah, it's empowering. It's important to understand that.
Yeah. While we're still on the hormone topic, I do want to bring this up because I think that we talk about estrogen and progesterone and all of these things when we talk about women, but I think testosterone that gets left out of the picture a lot of the time.
I love
And
testosterone.
people don't realize that, yes, women have more estrogen than men. However, women have more testosterone than estrogen.
Yeah.
And testosterone is an incredibly important
want it.
hormone
Yeah.
in women in general, especially women's fitness. And the best way to increase that hormone is
lifting.
Strength training, absolutely. Yeah. No, I think you need it all. And like, you know, most people want that toned look, which I know you've talked about. A lot of women say they want that toned look. The more you lift, the more testosterone you're going to have, the more you're going to achieve that toned look because you're going to build the muscle, burn the fat, and
Well, we're at it.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
toned. So
Oh boy.
we had a whole hangout session where we like talked about being toned for like 45 minutes. But I think we all can agree it's having muscle and having a low enough body fat percentage for that muscle to show.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not taking, 1 pound weights and just like going like this over
Right.
and over
Yeah.
again. Like
Right.
that's
Yeah.
not how you tone. For some people who have been doing nothing, maybe they'll build muscle that way.
Or to have amazing genetics.
But right, or have
Yeah,
amazing
right.
genetics. But generally speaking, you have to build muscle and you have to burn fat, which with specific training you can do at the same time, but also nutrition. Like that's huge.
Right. And we've talked about how, how that may happen at the same time or how it may not happen at the same time in our nutrition podcast. I believe we talked
Or
about that.
a bunch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much
Yeah.
all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you guys convince or explain it to your clients when they're going through their, you're coaching them and you're going to explain to them the things that they're going to go through, what they're going to feel, and their body weight changes. How do you guys go about it when it comes to telling them, hey, like, these exercises are not toning exercises. Any exercise can really build muscle. You just have to put a lot of intensity. Like, how do you guys explain all these things to your clients? Like, this is how it works.
I take the word tone out of it. I don't even use it.
What if they ask for it though? Like what if they say,
Well,
no,
I
I just want to be toned?
Well, I explained.
Yeah.
Toned equals strength.
Yeah.
We got to strength train. And tone to me, like in my head when I think about it, it's just like this specific aesthetic that they're looking
It's a
for.
description.
That's what they
It's a
mean.
description.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just like, okay, these are the steps. These are the things that we need to do to achieve that goal. And it's also about listening to your body. There's some things that are going to work and there's some things that aren't going to work. And it's only a matter of time that we're going to be able to see these things.
I think it's a huge part of being a trainer as well, is being able to interpret what they're saying,
What they
which is
mean, right.
What do you
Yeah.
mean by what exactly do you mean by toned?
Yeah.
You know
We're
what I mean?
mind readers basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and asking them their specific goals and what they're doing at home and all those things,
Yeah.
all adds up.
And
And
with
it
that question, I think
depends.
it's important because a lot of people don't know what they want. And
They just say
initially-
they see a look and they see I want to look exactly
Right.
like
Right.
And they
Yeah.
don't realize the person's like maybe they're 5 feet and that person's 5'9".
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's gonna look a lot different.
Or even the muscle insertions. That's what I see. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
I wish my chest was a little bit.
How do I get a
bigger and-
bicep
yeah,
peak?
Right
how do
there.
I grow the middle of my chest? It's like, dude, it's your chest. Like,
Yeah,
what
you
am I going to
can't.
tell you?
It's
Yeah,
the genetics of
genetics,
Yeah.
the way,
exactly.
like they look at abs. Oh, I want my abs to be like the 6 blocks like that. Well,
What if you
not
have a 4-pack?
not
Right.
everyone's abs look like that.
If only we can pick, I want a little this,
Yeah.
a little that, but it doesn't
You're not
work that way.
Frankenstein.
Yeah.
I've always wanted
doesn't-
big calves.
It doesn't
Oh
work
man,
that
the
way.
calves.
I wanted big arms, but whatever.
I think you guys look great.
Oh.
Thanks.
But no,
Thank
back
you.
back
Oh,
to the
thank you.
tone. I mean, I kind of do the same as her, but I tell my clients also, I'm like, listen, like you may know you want to be toned, quotation toned, but the muscle literally knows two things: it grows or it shrinks. So we're gonna grow it and we're gonna burn the body fat, and then you'll have toned. I try to make it as simple as possible, but
I know she's so good.
it.
What if the client is hung up on a certain body weight?
Oh, God.
I want to weigh
Oh
this.
my God, I hate the scale.
It's hard. It's
I
hard
hate
because on one end, like not only do you not want to lose the client, but you don't want them to stop training altogether,
So
right?
that's huge too, because by us sometimes telling the truth,
Yeah.
we expel people away. So it's that part of the communication is
You got to
huge.
find the in between, and not even just for the selfish part of like I want to keep this client. I want to keep them because I know what I'm doing is good for them, and I also know if they stop training with me, they may stop working out. Period. Right. So I want to have them adhere to continual movement always. I want them to feel heard, but I also want to educate them. So it's like an in between sweet spot, and I think you try not to come off too hot. Like, listen, you're going to gain weight. Sorry, it's what's going to happen. But you also don't lie to them. You say, well, listen, muscle weighs a little more than fat, so you may see that increase. I really recommend maybe weighing yourself is a good measurement, but it's not everything. We'll take measurements, we'll take pictures. So maybe why don't we start weighing in once a month? And then that gives them time to see the change in their clothes, to see all the differences that isn't just the number on the scale. But it's hard sometimes. Some clients are going to be real hung up on that number. And
Yeah, I do the same thing. I try to shift the focus and say, okay, the scale is a tool, but why don't we
I love
start
that.
taking progress photos
Yeah.
first and noticing the progress that you're having in the gym? Like every workout, maybe with the barbell squat, we're adding 5s on each side each time you're coming in. Like that's a huge progress indicator. You're getting stronger.
Yep.
Also the way that your clothes fit, start paying attention to that. And sometimes it might be tight in certain areas that you might not feel are really where you want it to be, but let's give it time. Don't put too much pressure and just careful with the scale.
I really
because
love that word, the
it's
word
dangerous.
tool, because
Yeah.
when you think of tools, you think of like a bag of tools, like a hammer, and that's what you would use to build a house.
Yeah.
So that's like it's your little project, just like a house would be. I think that's a good mentality to have for your own body.
Yeah, and
You
I
don't
also
just wanna have a hammer.
remind them
Right.
that it's not just fat that is being weighed on the scale. And I feel like a lot of times that's what they think.
Yeah.
And it's like there's so much inside your body that the scale is getting weighed.
The
It's
huge
not-
difference between losing weight and losing
Body.
fat.
Yeah.
Huge difference.
Yeah.
And, and for you guys, your body weights change depending on your menstrual cycle.
fluctuates
For
daily.
It fluctuates a
Sure.
lot
yeah.
when you're ovulating, when you're in your menstrual
Yeah.
cycle, and so like if you weigh yourself every single day, and you see that the weight is coming up, and coming down, coming up, and you're putting all this work, you're training, you're doing
Yeah.
your nutrition, it can be
And
frustrating.
then your
Yeah.
caloric intake looks like this, like a wave. It's
Yeah.
like you're trying to
And
adjust
I mean,
to everything.
I've done the weighing every day before, and it's almost comical because I've gotten to a point where it doesn't affect me because I know so much now about like the menstrual cycle and
Just
stuff.
data.
It's almost cool now because I'm like, I knew it. I was gonna be 2-3 pounds heavier. Like this is spot on. My cycle is regular. I almost get excited because it's like it's a good consistency. Also, like, sodium factors in. Like, I always tell my clients, I'm like, did you have Chipotle last night? Because chances are you're maybe a little heavier now. Like, it's
Chinese food. Oh
yeah.
my God,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah. So weight, definitely a tool and something I don't recommend to people every day. Also, if someone has a history of any disordered eating or bad body image, I don't recommend it at all.
Yeah, I tried healthy relationship with the food and
And yourself
the
first.
monitoring the progress,
Yeah.
just like those little things, more weight, taking the pictures, like those are all small wins.
Absolutely.
You look at yourself every day, you have to take pictures to be able to see that progress,
Yeah.
you know?
And
It
also
doesn't
what you
happen.
tell yourself when you look at yourself.
Oh my gosh. Sometimes I have clients that come in and be like, ugh, I look ugly today. I said, look at yourself in the mirror right now.
Say something positive.
And tell yourself that you're beautiful. I
Yeah.
am beautiful, and repeat it 3 times.
Yep.
All right, let's get back to work.
Yep. There
Like,
you go.
You have to shift that mindset because otherwise it'll eat at you.
It's
Yeah.
crazy how psychological
I'm
training
gonna
is.
pick up. I'm picking up a
100%.
lot of tips.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right?
Next time they walk in,
Okay.
it's like,
For
first of all,
women,
look at yourself in the mirror and say, "I am
I'm-
strong."
it's true because for
I-
women, I feel like the fitness world like it's also mental. Like it's a huge mental thing, and like a lot of times I notice I'll have clients and they're looking around the gym as they're squatting. Like, why are you looking around? Focus on you. This is your time for you.
Yeah.
You know, I know sometimes it's hard and it's kind of like human nature to compare a little bit, but you gotta, like, once you notice, you refocus. I'm here for me and I'm focusing on me. Yeah, they look good. What they're doing is cool, but let's get
It's
back
not me.
into let's get back into focus.
Yeah.
So, ladies, if there's a 19-year-old girl that is just starting to the gym, this is her 3rd month. Each of you give me 3 tips to tell her to the cameras what she should be focusing on right now.
It's her 3rd month.
It's her 3rd month. She just started.
Is she working with a trainer?
She is not working with the trainer. She's trying to do it on her own.
Okay.
Eat. Don't be afraid to eat.
There you go.
That's a big one.
Be proud of yourself that you've made it 3 months and the consistency. Celebrate that and keep
Yes.
at it.
And don't forget about the barbell.
Don't forget about the barbell.
Come find me. I'll help you.
Don't forget about the barbell. Absolutely. And don't compare. Your journey.
Don't compare.
Ups and downs. It's going to be your journey. Embrace it all. Because you're going to learn so much through it.
Huge.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Huge.
All right. I wanted to ask this. I think some of us
we-
are really excited for this. I think it's a very big thing, right? Where women get pregnant, and they're told certain things about training, what you should do, what you shouldn't do, certain things like that. Now a lot of information is coming out on why it's important to be strong, on resistance training, on the process of rehabilitation, postpartum, all of that. I wanted to see you guys' take, especially. I know that you have a
Yeah,
have a
so
passion about
that's
this.
my
So
passion.
Emily definitely has more experience in this, and you have a certification in it.
Yes.
I guess my only input I'll say is my sister had a baby a year ago, and I was kind of training her throughout the process. And she told me when she was giving birth, she envisioned herself on the leg press, and I feel like that just tells you everything. Like I know it helps so much with the actual birth and the mental health and all of the hormone regulation throughout it. So now specifics. Take it away,
Yeah.
Emily.
Before you start, let me rephrase that question
Okay.
properly. Why would it be important for a woman, if she's planning to get pregnant, to train? And if a woman gets pregnant and didn't train before and she sees some benefits from that movement and activity, is it okay for that person to start training once they're
Yes.
pregnant?
It's actually very important. So I have a client that I recently got. She's like 8 weeks pregnant now. And she just started in the gym. She's never set foot in the, 20 years
Did she start
ago.
because of pregnancy?
She started because of pregnancy.
Perfect.
And, you know, she wants to get healthy, start moving her body, and she also cares about postpartum. So it's super important, and as comes with everything fitness, there's misconceptions everywhere. And a lot of the times it's kind of like you're handicapped when you're pregnant, and it's not the case. Moving is very important. And each stage of your pregnancy, your body is changing, you know, your first trimester, second, third. And, you know, everyone, of course, has a different experience when they're pregnant. But, like this one, she just came in and she's like, I just got pregnant and I want to start, you know, getting in the gym, moving so that I have an easy birth and that I can recover postpartum. Perfect. Of course, coming into the gym for the first time in 20 years, now being pregnant, there's going to be a lot of modifications and a lot of things that we're going to have to change week by week, month by month, because her body is also changing. And there's a lot of things that we also have to make her aware at home too. And the main area of the body that we're really concerned about is that core and pelvic floor. We have to be careful that they're not, you know, I'm going to get too sciencey.
Be my guest.
There's
No,
no
that's
such
what
thing.
we need you for.
But
We're nerds.
so, you know, we have our linea alba. Naturally, through pregnancy, it separates. But we need to be careful that we're not bulging our intra-abdominal pressure through that linea alba because, you know, throughout the pregnancy, you get bigger. And if you have that intra-abdominal pressure, always, you know.
Do you want to explain what the linea alba is?
The connective tissue in between your abs.
There you go.
Right here.
Okay.
And
Center line.
so it's you have to be careful because if it expands too much, the only way we can fix it is by surgery, and you don't want to have surgery right after giving birth. no way. So, you know, a lot of the focus is the core and the pelvic floor. So in the beginning, we definitely get into like, you know, kettlebells, dumbbells, squatting, doing a lot of full body movement, definitely lots of strength training, but really teaching her the fundamentals of the core and what each layer of the core muscles are, how it works with the pelvic floor, and how to, you know, get up from the bed, and like simple tasks like that, because as she gets bigger, there's going to be more bulging. You know, we want to protect that. So yeah, it's just like lots of stuff, but definitely starting at any point in your pregnancy, I think, is important. Getting movement helps with the birth. You're strong. You feel empowered and ready to like get that baby out of you. You know. So yeah, there's.
So what I'm getting from this is that it's not only is it the case that you have to train before pregnancy, it becomes even more important to train during pregnancy.
During is very important, yeah. Especially when you're getting into that third trimester, you really want to feel strong and empowered, and you also want to make sure that we're making room in the hips because everything expands, you know, and of course, everybody cares about the aesthetic of their body, and the working out and the specific exercises that we do in preparing for birth are going to ultimately help you keep that aesthetic that you want postpartum. Right. It's also going to help you recover a lot faster.
Yeah.
So what are some of the do's and don'ts when it comes to the workouts of women when they're pregnant?
So for example, if you've been working out for like 6 months and then you get pregnant, I would say continue your workout regimen as you've been doing, and listen to your body. If you notice like any uncomfortable feelings, or, you know, maybe you notice that like it kind of hurts to go a little heavier, keep, you know, doing what you're doing and listen to your body. And then
would you recommend working with somebody?
Yeah, I would recommend working with someone. There's not too many don'ts, to be honest. I would just say like making sure you're taking care of your core and pelvic floor, because that's huge. You know, a lot of women when they're pregnant, they deal with pelvic pain, and it's normal, but not really. You know, you should be able to carry on your pregnancy, you know, managing minor pain.
It's common, but not normal.
Yeah, it's common, yeah, but not normal.
It's a lot of things nowadays.
Yeah, there's.
What about certain trimesters don'ts? Like, isn't it once you enter the third trimester, you shouldn't do things on your belly? Obviously,
well, yeah,
you would assume people understand that, but
throughout most of the pregnancy, like, you have to be careful laying on your back. But realistically, like, if you're doing like dead bugs, for example, you're laying on your back for like less than 5 minutes. You're pretty much good. As you get bigger, you just want to be careful because of that. You don't want to like close that vein or anything. You want to be good. But but there's not too many does. I mean, definitely be careful with the core and the pelvic floor, and just if you're not sure of what to do for the core, hit me up. Do some research. Just you want to protect that. That's the main area, because with legs, you can pretty much kind of, if you feel comfortable doing it, you can do it.
Or definitely find someone in your area that can help you with that.
Yeah.
What about too? I know I've heard a lot of people say,
you can't do sit-ups, of course, or like
those things.
Know.
You can't get your heart rate up. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like if you did no exercise before, probably not the time to do like crazy high intensity interval training.
Well, yes.
If you had been doing that before, is there a certain point where you need to stop increasing your heart rate to X zone? Or no,
let's say me and you get pregnant and we want to go crazy, we're good.
Okay.
But
up until what trimester? Like
up until birth.
Oh wow.
You can use it to
because
induce.
we've been doing this.
Yes, like I've been active forever, and I want, you know, there's.
So it's not that much of a stressor.
Yeah, there's some women that have ran their whole life, and they run throughout their pregnancy, and they run until they give birth, and it's totally fine. But again, it's like also listening to your body. That's such a huge thing. If you notice like you're having pelvic pain while you're running, start walking instead, or start trying to find other alternatives to movement that feel good with these new body changes.
But like you don't have to adhere to like the talk test in trimester 3 or anything where like, no.
I
guess it depends on the person.
Yeah, it
what's the talk test?
So if you're doing cardio and I can no longer talk to you, do we have to stop at that point? Like, is it, obviously the cardio is hard for me at that point. But if I was doing that before, you're saying it doesn't matter. I could stay there.
Yeah, if you were doing that before. Let's
But
say
if
this
someone's
new
just
client that
starting,
I have now,
they probably don't want to get there.
yeah, if this new client that I have now, I wouldn't get her up to that.
Right.
Right.
No
So-
way. But I would have her heart rate up enough that she's out of breath, but she can still answer my questions if I, like, hey,
So
how are
still
you
passing
feeling?
that.
Good. You know, like,
And that's why a coach is important.
yeah. So definitely, if you're not sure what you're doing during pregnancy, for sure find someone that can help you. But if you've been active, be active and just listen to your body. And there are a lot of tools out there online.
Yeah.
The unfortunate part is, like, a lot of OBs are not, have no idea of these new, you know, certain exercises and certain things that you could do to relieve pain and to make sure, you know, that linea alba separation doesn't happen. It's called diastasis recti, and it happens to a lot of women, and it's just like, that's a big thing. You don't want to have surgery after you just
No,
give
of
birth.
course
Is,
not.
is that why sometimes they can't, let's say they have their birth and then they lose the weight, but then there's like some skin hanging. Is that what it is, or?
Yeah,
Like-
there's definitely some core dysfunction in there for sure,
Okay.
but it's also like with that pelvic floor. It's
You can see
working
it even
together,
whenever
yeah.
they're still pregnant. That diastasis recta, you could see it. It's that little.
You
like,
can feel it.
It's like a separation.
You can
Yeah.
feel it, and if it's more than like 4 inches of separation, you're in
Yeah.
trouble.
So what if she's a powerlifter?
Oh yeah, hell yeah, she could continue doing it.
So if she
you
was
just
like
need to
1
be
month
careful
out,
you don't hit yourself.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe you're not doing cleans.
Right.
You know, there's certain things.
what if she's like 1 month out from the
She can
competition?
still squat.
and
Wow.
okay.
Yeah.
I had-
And
There's
max
a
out?
lot of
Compete,
like, be
yeah.
careful,
And
be
compete.
careful. I mean, I wouldn't compete. Hell no. But if you want
I
to
feel
go,
like it's been done.
but if you want to
Pregnant
like
division.
continue going to the gym and power lift, you know, by all means. I mean, always consult with your doctor first before. That's huge because everybody is different. But if you've been active and you're a power lifter, you're a runner, you're a yoga instructor, whatever it is that you do, and you've been doing it forever, and then you get pregnant,
Keep doing that.
keep doing it.
I
And-
also feel like it makes for a happy baby. I
Yeah.
mean, my mom told me that she worked out the most when she was pregnant with me, and I turned out to be a
and
trainer.
most women want
So,
that. Yeah.
work out, guys. We need more trainers in the world.
Yeah, most women want that like bounce back. What helps you bounce back? Get your booty in the gym. It'll help you.
Have that muscle already.
Yeah.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but kind of what I'm getting from everything that you're saying is, if you have not been working out prior to getting pregnant, one, get a coach.
Yeah.
If you want to start working out, and that training is probably going to be focused on movement quality and maybe mobility.
Yeah.
Maybe some strength in there as well, but that doesn't necessarily have to be like the sole focus.
Yeah.
Versus if you were already training prior, you could just kind of continue.
Yeah, and
your
then
regimen.
always consult your doctor, of course, if you have high blood pressure or whatever it is. Just make sure that everything is good and they give you the clear. But usually, if you've been active, you're pretty good to go up until you're ready to like your due date.
And they can still see benefits of gaining muscle mass.
Oh yeah, you
and
can still
strength
gain
and
muscle
stuff.
while pregnant for sure.
So if you're an OB listening to this by any chance and you are telling your patients not to strength train, maybe you should talk to Emily
Yes.
right
Yeah.
here.
I feel
Tell
like
them-
everyone would
don't
love to
tell
learn from
them-
each other.
Don't tell them to stop moving.
Yeah, no.
Moving is so important.
And just so bad for your mental health. Like, you're going through so many hormonal changes that exercise is
at least go for a
so
walk
good.
outside.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing I always recommend. Go outside, get some fresh air, some sun, and walk. It's like one of the best things, especially in their 3rd trimester. It's so good. Curb walking, amazing. Opens up those hips. Everybody's got to do it.
Because
Yeah.
I actually heard what Morgan mentioned, that don't get your heart rate so high. Because
You hear that, right?
I've trained women that have been pregnant before, and they tell me that my doctor told me that I cannot get my heart rate up. And I know that you can
Right.
if you've already been working
Yeah.
out.
But it's the safe
since-
answer.
Yeah, but since I'm not a doctor, I'm not going to be like, oh, no, your doctor's wrong. So
Yeah. Yeah, and
kinda
if they
just
have
listen,
it, and
but-
I
yeah.
watch, I like monitor, I watch their face, like I watch their body signals. So if I notice that, I don't know, this doesn't look like, let's switch, let's do something else because I don't like how this is looking. Just like you can tell,
You can tell.
So yeah, like my new client that just started in the gym and she's 8 weeks, like by the time she's three in her 3rd trimester, I would have her like walking on the treadmill or on the elliptical. I probably would not put her on a Stairmaster or anything crazy
Right.
like
Well,
that.
then you risk too if they miss a stair and they fall, and you want
Yeah.
to avoid those things. No
Right.
box jumps, obviously.
Yeah.
But Leg press and stuff.
Yeah, the leg press is like the best. Like
Yeah.
your sister said, it's so good,
Yeah.
and that you need that leg strength to push that baby out.
Yep.
Yeah. But it's
So-
true, like, doctors will give you the safe answer.
Of course.
Because
Oh, for
like
sure.
if you are
And understandable on their part, but that's
Right.
why we would love to come together. Like I know
They'd
you always
rather
talk
not
about.
an issue occur and them do nothing than them
Yeah.
do something and then, God forbid, something happen. But usually, you're good.
Just
Yeah.
like we, yes. I mean, and I think that some doctors would benefit from getting some more education in strength training, just like strength trainers are told not to give advice, medical advice.
Yeah.
I think that everybody kind of needs to stick to their scope
Yeah.
of practice. Again, just like you
Absolutely.
said, listen to your doctor,
Yes, first.
but
Yeah,
that
it's
does
very
not mean that your
important.
doctor knows everything.
Right.
Yeah. And do research on your own too. You're allowed to, have your own thoughts and
You know your body
opinions.
best.
Second
Yeah.
opinions. If you think that your doctor is wrong, don't listen to us. Go speak to another doctor
Yeah,
that maybe
absolutely.
is more
yeah.
right.
Cool. We touched on mostly the benefits of strength training before and during pregnancy. I want you to go over the benefits of strength training postpartum as well.
Okay. So postpartum, they
And let's separate it.
Okay.
Because you already talked about the people that have been doing it
Okay.
throughout. What if somebody is listening to this podcast just now and gave birth last week and wants to start training
Okay.
And didn't train before.
and didn't train before?
Well, let's do both
Okay.
scenarios, I think.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
important, yeah.
Trained
Okay.
and didn't train.
That's a hard one because, all right, so you give birth and they give you about 6 to 8 weeks of like, you're not allowed to move, you're not allowed to lift anything heavy. So you want to get into fitness because you're not loving how you look postpartum and you want to, get into a new routine. Start slow,
Yeah.
very slow. I mean, depending on how you gave birth also is a big indicator on like when you should start.
Are you talking about like cesarean?
Yeah.
versus
So like,
natural?
let's say you had a baby naturally. I say the second week you start going on walks. Start getting that blood flow, get moving, the sunshine. C-section's a little bit longer. I'd want to
It's a
wait.
surgery.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like maybe 4 weeks. Get outside, start walking, stop moving, and then the next step would be practice diaphragmatic breathing. That's huge. A lot of people don't know how to breathe.
Do you want to
with their
explain?
Yeah.
You want to dive a little bit deeper with as in what that is?
Yeah, what is that?
So it's look at your new baby. How perfect it is sleeping. Watch his tummy. You see how it's coming up and down as he's breathing? That's how we should breathe as a human, as a adult. Through life, and as we get stressed out, we just become mouth breathers. It just happens. So the way I like to teach my clients is lay down on the floor and try to get yourself as relaxed as possible. Then we place one hand on the diaphragm and then one on the chest. And then you want to take a nice deep breath and feel that diaphragm expand. Fill it up with air, and then we'll breathe out. And then you should feel it's almost like a wave. Like the belly comes up and then it goes down. It's like a little wave. So we practice by feeling it. So that's huge because that helps with that core activation and making sure that we're using every single layer in that core to help repair everything that you went through pregnancy. And also incorporating the pelvic floor, which is huge.
Which, by the way, it's coming.
Yeah,
Yeah.
most people forget about it, and like women have babies and they're like, I sneeze and I pee. Common, not normal.
Yeah.
It's lack of strength in the pelvic floor. And, while you breathe diaphragmatically, get a coach, hit me up. And you want to make sure that we're engaging that pelvic floor as we're breathing out. It's lifting, and then we'll release and relax and kind of repeat it over and over again. And that's kind of the nice, slow way I like to ease people into it and kind of regaining that strength in the core. And then we'll start slow with exercises like the dead bug. And there's so many different modifications you can use with the dead bug. The dead bug's my favorite because there's so much that you can do with it. And it's like what really strengthens your core properly.
Yeah.
So what's the protocol for diaphragmatic breathing? Like how long of an inhale, how long of an exhale?
How
Like
many
how
times?
many minutes do you do it
Yeah.
for? How many
Right.
reps do you do it for? Like how would that
I
work?
always do count to 10. Think in your head, count to 10, fill it up slowly, and then release slowly another 10. And I usually tell them lay like 2 minutes
every day.
Because it'll take time for you to actually relax, especially if you're not used to doing it often.
Right.
It's going to take you time to relax and actually be able to use your diaphragm. The more and more you use it, then you're going to be like, oh, okay, this is how I do it. But like 2 minutes every day, just like find some time, you know, focus and really use your mind. That mind muscle connection is real.
Super real.
So I tell them to do that. And then, you know, if they want to increase it, most people find it relaxing. They can fall asleep while doing it.
Yeah, it's like meditating a little bit.
So that's kind of my spiel. Go for your little walk, spend some time diaphragmatic breathing, and then usually before they go onto their like postpartum like leave, I teach them specific exercises to do other than like the dead bug to do at home while they're like recovering, which are like, you know, bird dog is one of them, and some like glute bridges, but I have them get like a Pilates ball and we use that, and it's very gentle, but it helps strengthen up so that when those 6 to 8 weeks is over, they're ready to get back in the gym, and we don't really need to go through that like
period of relearning and stuff like that.
Yeah, so they at least have that core connection and they're a little bit more mindful in their body. But just starting out, I say walking and practice that diaphragmatic breathing and finding a coach.
Yeah.
Finding a coach, because just in case you have any sort of, I don't like to call it a core dysfunction, but it kind of like is. So just in case something
Just
is,
call it what it is. It's
Yeah.
just straight up, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
just, you know, find a coach that can help you and teach you some tools. And then when you feel comfortable, you can, you know, go on your own or stay with your coach.
So,
Right? Especially if they're empathetic like you.
excuse my ignorance. Maybe you guys know this because you have a child and you've probably dealt with this before. But why the period postpartum is important for rest?
So everything is going back to normal. Their uterus is shrinking. Everything is shrinking and going back to its normal size. So we just want to give that time for the body to like, holy shit, I just,
Like recuperate.
yeah, like I just had a baby.
Yeah.
And it needs time to kind of recuperate. And another thing is everything is weak. You know,
Yeah.
the core and the pelvic floor. So like a lot of times they don't want any, you know, you lift a heavy box, 15-pound box. They don't want, you know, again, that intra-abdominal pressure can go out the linea alba, but it can also go down into the pelvic floor. So we just want to make sure that they're not doing anything to make their recovery longer.
Right. Especially if you got a C-section. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a serious surgery. So, and the emotional toll that I'm sure, I haven't had a child, but the emotional
Yeah,
toll I'm
postpartum
sure
depression
it
is
takes on you.
real. So like, you know, that's also a thing. Like, take your time.
Yeah.
You know,
Most I
give
know new
yourself
moms
some
aren't sleeping that
grace.
well, so I probably
Yeah.
wouldn't recommend like hit the gym for an hour on top of sleep
Yeah.
deprivation, you know.
Yeah, so it's like just small things, giving yourself grace, and then once you feel comfortable and your doctor gives you the clear, start going in the gym and work yourself up to where you were before. It's not going to happen overnight, you
Right.
know, and make the small goals to get to where you want to be, or, you know, and
So patience is key at that point.
patience.
Yeah, for sure.
And everyone's body is different. You can't look at your friend that had a baby 2 weeks after you and she went back so fast. Everybody is different. You retain a lot of water. Is she breastfeeding or are you not? Like, that's also a huge thing. When you're breastfeeding, you're burning so many calories. You have to eat a ton. And if you're not, you know, you retain the water a little bit longer, just because you're not like breastfeeding and burning those calories. You know, the body isn't working that way. I mean, it is, but like, you know.
Yeah, it's
So, yeah.
different.
So before we move on from this topic, because I love the diaphragmatic breathing topic that you
It's
brought up.
the best.
Yeah. So I think people at home would benefit from this. Just a couple of things that I want to talk about that. If you're listening at home and you have not done diaphragmatic breathing and you didn't give birth, you're not pregnant and none of that stuff,
Even if you're a guy.
you should still
Yes.
do diaphragmatic breathing.
Absolutely.
It is extremely important.
It's
And
so
some of the things that
important.
you went over, I want to explain why they happen. Why you feel relaxed whenever you start doing diaphragmatic breathing versus not doing that. You have your primary breathing muscles, and then you also have secondary breathing muscles. So the biggest primary breathing muscle is your diaphragm, but you also have your traps, your levator scapulae, all these things that are going to raise up your chest and your shoulders, that are going to give you that regular breathing pattern that most people have. Not regular, but that most people have. By the way, I love what you said about common and normal and the difference between that, because just because most people breathe a certain way doesn't mean that is what is normal.
Yeah.
Right.
So the reason why that is because your parasympathetic system is directly linked to your diaphragmatic function. So whenever you're using those secondary breathing muscles that are all up in your neck and your chest, all these things that move that thoracic cavity and expand it, you're going to be more into that sympathetic system, which means you're going to experience a lot more stress. This is also why a lot of people have headaches, migraines, neck pain, shoulder pain, things like that. Right. So if you experience any of those things, whether you're a woman, whether you're a guy, whether you're pregnant, whether you're not, whether you just gave birth or not, diaphragmatic breathing is going to be incredible for you. Especially
after training. So I started incorporating it right after my lifts to send my body back into that parasympathetic state, and it helped my recovery so much. Because to leave the gym when you're like hyped so up and super high strung, like not good. You may stay there.
And when you do it, do you have to always do it laying down?
No. That's
or can you do it sitting down?
I lay down and elevate my feet after a workout, but when I'm just like meditating at night, I'm in a different state already. I'm like chilling in my room. Then I just like lay flat on the floor. Or I lay in bed. But after training, I do elevate my feet and lay down.
So you could actually progressive overload this, and I've messed around with this a little bit.
Progressive overload breathing.
Diaphragmatic
breathing. What do you put? You put a kettlebell on top of you?
You can do that actually, but so
you should make a program about this.
I think the easiest way to explain it, you would have to understand the anatomy of the diaphragm, kind of to really know how to progressively overload, but. If you're actually in a, let's say, quadruped position, a quadruped position just means that you're on your hands and...
All fours.
All fours, right. So basically your stomach's facing the floor. It's going to be a little bit, there's going to be less resistance against the diaphragm. Therefore, it's going to expand easier. That doesn't mean that that's where you should start. It's actually a little bit more difficult to start in that position.
Yeah, that's why I said the back, just because I feel like that's the best way to teach them and like help they know where to feel and they know what they're looking for and then we kind of progress. All right, now let's sit up and practice. Let's stand up. Let's get on all fours and kind of do it in different
positions.
Yeah,
absolutely. I've also had people lay on up. I don't do the. I've done the kettlebell. It's a little bit aggressive, but what I do like doing.
I've actually done it. I just didn't know that I was doing something right.
Yeah.
What is this?
But I love the stability ball for this. Because you can lay on the stability ball, and it also gives you that feedback of the same thing that you were talking about placing your hand on your stomach or on your abdomen. It gives you that feedback, that stability ball to expand into that, and obviously, like, if you're a little bit heavier, it's going to be really difficult because you have to kind of lift your body and also push into the ball. But that's a great way of loading it once you've already gone through the process of introducing it and understanding the movement.
So you just hold it like this and push your stomach out towards it.
Lay on it. Relax as much as you can. Breathe into the ball.
The word pelvic floor was thrown around a lot today. Yeah. Just like the word for the connective tissue in between, what's it called again?
The linea alba.
Correct. Please explain to our viewers.
Correct.
Correct.
He was just testing you.
I knew it. I was just making sure you knew it. Please explain to the viewers, what is the pelvic floor? How can you kind of feel it in yourself? And training it, what role does it play outside of pregnancy?
Okay, so pelvic floor is in your pelvis, by your hips, but your lower core. It's connected with that core. That's why I mentioned it so many times together. So repeat that question, sorry.
How can you feel your pelvic floor?
Okay, how can we feel it? Yep. So laying down, this is the best way I like to kind of, because most people aren't aware of their pelvic floor.
I have no idea.
And also like movement in their hips. They're a little bit like, moving their hips, getting their hips loose is like not a normal thing. Right. So the one place is laying down on the floor is the best way, because the average person will lay on the floor and then we'll have, your back on the floor. That lower back is up. We got that little arch, and then we got the booty on the floor, right? So one of the main ways is a lot of people use the term like your belly button to your spine, but I kind of don't really love that because you won't necessarily get the connection of your pelvic floor while doing that. So what I like to cue is we want to take a nice deep breath. I like to do a couple just so that we can get that nice flow in.
Can I try it right now?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, so we're going to get that nice flow.
Wrong. You're already breathing through your chest.
That's why I say a couple of breaths, because usually the first few is going to come from their normal, habitual, like, mouth breathing, right? But I always love... He's like dying.
I got called a mouth breather. Nice. on my own show.
Okay, and then we will place our hands, one on our diaphragm and one on our chest. So you're going to take a couple nice deep breaths. Really blowing up that diaphragm and then breathing out. And I say breathe out like you're blowing out of a straw. After a couple of times, in this they're doing it laying on the floor, I want you to tuck your hips slightly, you know, almost.
As in?
Yes.
Okay.
As like a contraction, right? Like contract it in. Now you're going to take another breath, and when you take this breath, I want you to feel your lower abs lifting. So you want to lift and pull in towards, so almost like the belly button to spine, but we also want to get that lift of the pelvic floor, so that pelvic floor is going to lift, and then we're going to engage that core. Feel it? And then we're going to release, blow out of that straw. And let's do it again. Really, wait, before you blow out, we got to really feel that engagement, that core, that pelvic floor lifted. You feel it, great. Blow out of the straw. And that's kind of where I show them like where to find their pelvic floor and how to connect it with the core, how it goes hand in hand, because we want to make sure it's like lifted, because a lot of times, for example, you could do a bent over row, right? And if you look at someone, sometimes like they got their belly hanging. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We want to engage that core, lift that pelvic floor, and now resume with that.
So this
row.
is the position that we use when we are lifting heavy weights as well?
For sure. I mean, I do it when I lift heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would it be
Haven't
safe
you
to
guys-
say that
We
pelvic?
just call it bracing.
That's exactly what I was
the
gonna
core.
say.
Right, bracing the core.
Yeah, but I like to say, like, I don't know, I like the word engage the core
Yeah.
a lot more.
Okay.
And like another cue that I like to use is our transverse abdominis is like that that corset, right?
Okay.
So we want to feel it wrapping all the way around.
Like a little shield.
Yeah. So while
This
they're
is why you see
Yeah.
powerlifters.
In powerlifting, that's exactly what
they,
bracing
they
is.
step into the deadlift, and they'll literally do the same thing that you just did.
Yes.
They'll just be like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I've
And-
also
Are you
heard of
referring to anybody in
powerlifters.
specific here?
I've heard of powerlifters too, like going to do a big lift and they pee themselves a little bit.
Oh,
So
yeah?
it's like
All
this
the
stuff
time,
is
yeah.
really
Yeah.
important.
That's why we need to like get that pelvic floor working with your core. They work together.
Yeah.
So every time you're working your core, you want to make sure that pelvic floor is lifted and engaged with it. So I like to start on the floor doing that, and then as we get more into our strength training, breathe between each rep and make sure that we're feeling that engagement, because your core is your main stabilizer, you know, and you don't necessarily have to do abs to get abs, you know.
Yep.
Let me ask you this: is there any benefit to this in regards to stomach vacuums, for example?
Yeah, TVA.
Do you know what those are?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I would, if you're going to be doing those stomach vacuums, lift that pelvic floor with it.
Yeah.
You know, it's definitely don't
go
leave
hand in
it-
hand, like you
Yeah,
said.
it goes hand in hand. Don't leave it behind, because when you leave it behind, that's when you're going to have the issues of, like, let's say your pelvic floor is weak and you lift up that bar to do a deadlift and you feel like, I'm sure some people feel that, like, you know, the pelvic floor is weak. It feels like it ripped in half, you know, or you feel like you have to pee, or it's like that painful feeling that really comes from that lack of strength and like not using it.
yeah, the tissue's not being prepared to
Yeah.
lift that
Makes total
weight.
sense.
Yeah. So you brace that core, but then the pelvic floor is left behind. You're still kind of screwed.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think when people think of pelvic floor exercises, I think like the most popular one is probably the Kegel.
Oh my God, no! Bye.
Right. So that's what I was
Wait,
going
I actually don't know what that is.
You don't know what a Kegel is?
No.
So it's stopping the flow of urine. Like whenever you're peeing, stopping the flow
Okay,
of urine.
please, whoever does that, please don't do that. Please stop doing that.
That
Does
sounds
that-
painful.
Bad to do?
Yes.
Okay.
No
What is a
good.
Kegel? So I want you to explain. I want you to explain what is a Kegel and what are some
Why-
other
why you
better
It's like
examples.
He's looking
that's
so
it's
lost.
kind of hard to explain, I guess, but like it's like a stopping your pee.
Yeah, it's like
you
you said,
said.
stopping
it's
the
like
urine.
a contraction in the vagina, and it's
Or
it's-
in
What if I don't
or
have
in the-
one?
But
the
Or in the
but
penis.
it's okay, yeah, and the penis, yes, but it's more of like that organ working versus your pelvic
All the muscles in the pelvic floor working.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So
Is
Oh.
it bad though to do that? Instead, like I understand one doesn't take the place of the
it's
other,
bad to
but
do
is
it while you're peeing. You definitely do
Right.
not want to be stopping
Right.
yourself every time you're peeing to
Right.
like practice a Kegel.
Right.
You could do Kegels, but they're not necessarily going to do much for that pelvic floor health.
Right.
Okay.
So one exercise that I like to do is like a glute bridge, right? I lay my clients down on the floor and I get that Pilates ball, put the Pilates ball in between their knees. They're going to be doing those diaphragmatic breathing. As they lift the hips up into that glute bridge, we're squeezing the ball as hard as we can with those knees in. And then we drop the hips, take another breath. So that's like one of the example exercises. But I like using the Pilates ball a lot to really engage the pelvic floor, because they can feel it more. They get feedback off the ball, how much pressure they're putting against the ball and stuff like that.
Man, I'm learning so much in this episode.
You're saying so
it's
many
easier to
important
teach
things
that
right
way.
now. You're saying
This
so
is
many.
crazy.
This is why it's so important to find a coach that is good at this specific thing that Emily's talking about. Because what she's saying right now is that the pelvic floor is a system. It's not one thing. So that's why you don't want to do just the Kegels or just the diaphragmatic breathing. And that's why that exercise that you just said, there were like 3 different things that you coached on there. And that's why that's so important to get a coach, so that you do understand why these things are so important to train as a system that works together. Because ultimately you can train your diaphragm.
It's a lot. I mean, I try to break it down, step by step, but then ultimately that's the goal, to be able to do all these things with these exercises. And there's so many different exercises that you could do, but that's,
But having someone teach that is crucial,
Yeah.
because if someone just sees a video, they may just put a ball between their knees and just start like raising their hips up, and they're not
be
thinking.
mindful.
Yeah,
You
intention
can't
is important.
aimlessly
Intention
is
just
everything.
do this. You have to put that intention in your mind. That's why I say mind-muscle connection is a real thing.
Yeah.
You got to focus.
So what I'm getting from this is that the most important exercises are usually the ones that don't look cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that don't look that
No,
difficult.
that
Yeah.
difficult. But this pelvic floor training is basically the base of the pyramid for all the other exercises that everybody wants to do. Everybody wants to deadlift. Everybody wants to squat.
Everybody.
Everybody wants to do a military press, kettlebell swings. And if you see all those movements, you are moving your spine and you're engaging your core. But if you don't know how to engage the core, then the exercise is not going to be as effective as it could be.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Pilates has been around for so long, and it was originally, I know, to rehab, I believe, dancers. So it was used as that to start, and it's still, I mean,
Pilates
you're
is
doing Pilates
great.
with your clients. It sounds like a lot
Yeah,
of
I
Pilates
love-
and strength training. But yeah, the base of everything.
We gotta work the small things that are that most people tend to forget about. I mean, the compound movements are great, but we also need to make sure that we're taking care of all those other little accessory muscles, so that everything can be performed correctly, and that we don't have any room for injury. That's what we want to
100%.
eliminate. No injury.
Absolutely.
That we can move
100%.
forever, as long as we can.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, Emily, out of pure curiosity and kind of deviating a little bit. Why did you decide to specialize in this and learn so much about this?
Yeah, I never asked you
Because
that
I
either.
want to be a mom.
She's always
I've
said she
always
wants
wanted to be a
babies.
mom. I've been wanting babies for like 5 years now. And that is something that when I started just learning more of the health and fitness world, there wasn't a lot of information out there about the core. And
I've never heard any of this before.
As women, that's one of our main areas that we care about, and that's something that I wanted to learn for myself, but also to teach other people, because I have had friends that, have had babies, and they tell me the stories about their OB not knowing or not giving them the right information or whatever. And it's really sad, because I feel like women need to be supported and encouraged and educated throughout this process of this new journey of life that they're going through. So yeah, I mean, and then as I started learning, I was like, this shit's cool.
Yeah.
So I
Stick
liked
to
it.
right?
Yeah, so that's my favorite part of the personal training.
And I'm excited to hear more from you once you do become a mom, how it is
Yeah.
to experience that all with yourself.
And when the time comes for me, I know who I'm calling.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Awesome.
Love
Good.
that.
All right. Segueing a little bit out of the topic of pregnancy, back into something that is a little bit more mainstream, which is body image issues for girls, specifically in the gym. How do you address those issues with your clients? What is there some of your techniques that you use to maintain a strong, healthy mind?
We talk about this a lot.
Yeah.
Like whenever we hang out, me, her, and our other friend Andrea, who's also a trainer. But I know myself, I struggled and still do sometimes with body image issues. I think, and I also think it's not just women. I think sometimes, men could be sitting
definitely,
back
yeah.
listening to this and being like, oh, I shouldn't have this. It's okay if you're going through that too. It happens for everyone. But I think, the biggest thing is prioritizing mental health
Yes, I feel
Number
like that's
one.
number one.
over aesthetics, because like we said before, the aesthetics will come. But I've seen it before. People focus so much on the aesthetics and they're still not happy.
Yeah.
Because you're really not prioritizing your mental health. So you could be dieting, cutting, you finally get to that weight or that body fat percentage, and you look in the mirror and you still don't like what you see.
And you still feel miserable.
Yeah.
You're like,
that's funny because I was 19 years old, and I had been training for about 4 or 5 years at that point. And it was like the 4 or 5 years of constant trial and error and trying to find the one thing that works and seeking through all the information that you find online, how to train properly, how to eat properly.
Right.
And then at some point I was like, this is exactly the body that I wanted. I'm pretty strong. I look good. What now?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
What
Then
the
you
hell do
reach
I do
that
now?
point too.
And then I got a coach.
You know, it's crazy that as coaches, we first get into the industry to get people, in shape, help them achieve their fitness goals. But we end up being kind of like pseudo psychologists
Yes.
and motivators.
I
and-
studied psychology
yeah,
in college.
We have
That's my degree in.
and that is, psychology is very important for your client to achieve their goals. It's not just putting out the program, putting it together, and just having them do it.
Right.
Their mental health is very important because if not, the program's not going to be executed.
Yeah.
And so you never know. As a trainer, when I got into it, I never thought that was part of the business.
Right. It is.
And I had to really educate myself as best as I could.
Yeah.
And I still have a lot to learn
Yeah.
in order to help my clients the best that I can.
Yeah.
And so it's
yeah.
we have a lot of
It's-
hats that we have to wear
know.
as
Absolutely,
coaches
because we're dealing with
to help
people,
our clients. Yeah.
right? Like we're not
Yeah.
just writing a program and
Yeah.
that's it. Like it's human beings, and I think I know same with Emily. Like I say same because we're so similar, but I'm so passionate about this field because I've seen how much it's helped me and how much I've grown, and I've used fitness as that tool, and it's just from trial and error and understanding what has helped me mentally. I just want to share that with people.
Yeah.
The easiest part is reprogramming
Yeah.
Yeah.
by far.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
this is something my
I
mom told me
completely
when
agree.
I was little, and she told me this. She was like, "Your job is gonna be easy. Whatever you get into is gonna be very easy.
Yeah.
The hard thing is dealing with people.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what's gonna
Absolutely.
mess up your job. Like either you learn how to deal with people and enjoy that, or you're gonna have a bad time with whatever it is that you end up doing with your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you tell me, can you build a really good program to build your quads? Easy.
Right. Easy.
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 I know exactly what I'm gonna do there. If you tell me, build Nick a program to build his quads, now it gets a little bit more
A
complicated.
lot more you have to take into account.
Why
Yeah.
me? What did I do?
Be
you
complicated,
know,
man.
you did everything
Because
wrong.
you're exactly.
Is it,
She said it.
wow.
I think-
No, but it's true. Everyone is so different, and I feel like you can't treat everyone the same
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think we answered that.
Yeah. And I give people my personal tips, like journaling. That's
Yeah.
the freaking best thing ever.
Right, all the things that have
You know,
helped us.
like I said, focus on yourself, the little affirmations.
Send your
Then-
friends voice notes.
Oh,
when you
I'm-
have the
I'm
bad
a-
days.
I'm a huge voice noter.
Yeah,
Be like, Morgan,
Is
I'm
she
crying.
and
is she
also
a
though,
5
don't.
minute, 10 minute?
Oh,
3 minute?
we both
No,
keep
like-
it under 5, like 1.5 2. I think.
No, like 2 minutes.
I look at a
I
5-1,
think-
I'm like,
Yeah.
Sometimes 3.
It depends what's going
Depends.
on. But I think also the body image, don't trust your thoughts on those days. Understand that these emotions very much do not define you. They come through you, you recognize them, you let them pass.
That's
so
so
you're
huge.
you're
not
mindful
taking
of
an
that.
action
Exactly.
despite having a thought or an
Yeah.
emotion.
Yeah,
That's
and
huge.
try to think too. Sometimes there is a root cause. You could think deeper. Like me, if it's around that time of the month, I have a tendency to feel a little more bloated and sluggish. So I view myself a little differently. Versus other times, I'm like, damn, you look good, So the fact that I could go like that from week to week, it's like I try not to ride the highs too high and the lows too lows. I have aesthetic goals, but at the end of the day, it's like I need to love myself, and that feels so much better.
Yeah, I think a huge part of this is so obviously with nutrition and diet. How would you incorporate both for yourself and for your clients whenever they're having those fluctuations that may be real sometimes, but also may be just a product of their mental health? How would you go about navigating them through that challenge?
So I guess it would depend. Like if the client is, tracking macros or following a meal plan, maybe that's the time where I'm like, hey, let's just talk about how food's making you feel. Maybe we switch more to your relationship with food, and maybe now that's a time to focus on that because now the mental health is taking a toll, and that's always number one. If they're just not liking the way they look, in general, then maybe we actually need to fine tune the macros and fix the meal plan. So it depends what's really going on, I guess.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, usually with most of my clients, it's something mental that they're going through, and I just try to find easier alternatives to make the nutrition not as much of a chore.
Right.
So I'll just show them little grocery hacks. Look, get this little salad mix. It's super easy. Get a can of tuna, mix it in, squirt, like put some lemon, and you're good. That's, like trying to just find stuff that doesn't make it seem so overwhelming that, oh my God, I have to cook this chicken. Oh my God, like make it just a little bit easier. You don't have to always buy organic, even though it's preferred, but
Right.
go to Publix, they have stuff already chopped up. It's much better than, grabbing something packaged.
And when you're stressed, you don't want to deal with like a whole meal prep. So it's like, let's not completely go off our goals, but let's do the easy prep stuff.
Yeah, and
that's going to make you
and
feel
I try
good.
to give them like, places to eat, and like, oh, this is super great salmon burger you can find at Carrot Express.
they have
try
good
that.
food.
Like trying to
That was very
like
specific.
whatever. But you know what I mean. Like
you working with Carrot Express?
No, they're so good.
Promoting
But,
them.
I
they
actually
should be paying you.
recommended that to a client. That's why it came to my mind.
Yeah.
But just like ways to make it easier and
Right.
like not having so much on their shoulders. So I feel like once they have these goals, sometimes they tend to put so much pressure on themselves to like accomplish it, even if like they have a bad day or if they can't, make it to cook dinner, they have to stop somewhere. Like the game isn't over. You
Safe
can
to say a
still-
huge part of the fight is mental.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, absolutely.
So what
Yeah.
are some of the tips you guys give your clients when they're, gonna go out and have fun, and how can you help them stick to their, plan
Their
in order
goals.
to achieve their goals? Yeah.
So I deal with that a lot. When you say fun, do you mean like alcohol and stuff too? Maybe.
Yeah, when they go out to a restaurant, get together with the girls for a brunch, things that
So-
you guys like to do.
Mimosas.
We love mimosa. I'm more of a tequila girl, but I would say don't deprive yourself. Don't restrict at all that day. Like if you know you're having dinner, don't starve yourself until dinner, because most likely you'll go in with a mindset of like savage, and you're gonna
Splurge.
like order like
Yeah.
all the nachos, and you don't want to go into that that place. So I would say drink water when you're out. That's something that you can just add. If you're gonna drink, I always recommend go for like the tequila, soda water, lime, the healthier option. Stay away from the sugar stuff. It's also just not gonna make you feel great. You're gonna have a really bad
So you
headache.
stay away from the mimosas.
So if I have a mimosa, it's all champagne, dot of orange juice. So not that bad.
And if I drink, I do like water in between each.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, both of us aren't big drinkers at all. But if you do go out to the bar, I like to bring a bag of like almonds in my purse, because eating like
Morgan
fats.
always has snacks.
Always. I have a protein bar in my bag if you guys are hungry. But it helps to slow the way that alcohol metabolizes. But alcohol aside, it's like if you really want the mac and cheese, get the mac and cheese. If not, you're going to think about it for like 5 days, and eventually you're going to go somewhere and eat like a whole pizza to the face and go to bed in a food coma. And like, you don't want that, So allow yourself to have those things. If you're with someone and that also sounds good, maybe you guys could split it. And then you could also get your salmon, veggies, rice, something a little healthier, because it makes you feel good. But don't get that because it's like going to help you stick to your goals. I mean, if you're going out 4 times a week, maybe, we need to get some stuff that helps you stick to your goals. But if it's the occasional girls' night, like, allow yourself to have that. You got to live your life.
You gotta also know who you are, though,
Yeah.
because I think that whenever people ask me this, my answer depends on the person. Again, that it depends answer.
Absolutely.
Because if it's somebody that's always going out, always cheating on
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
plan they have, always doing these things, then I'm gonna be a little bit more strict with that client.
Of course.
Than the client that's always there, always sticking to their meal plan, always, or somebody that's in between. That I might tell that person, okay, you know what, like you can probably just
Go do your thing.
go
Right.
do your thing, don't worry about it, just get back to the plan
Right.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
But the client who's always going out every weekend and is like, why am I not making progress? You're
Right.
like, well.
You tell me,
Find
buddy.
some balance
Yeah.
there.
So in those days where you're going out, to brunch or have fun during the weekends, are you guys having them count macros? Are you guys counting macros yourselves? I'm asking
So,
for both your clients
yeah.
and yourself.
I guess personally I can give you a better answer because I know exactly, what I'm doing. I don't go out every weekend like that. If I do, it's maybe once a month. So I kind of let myself have whatever I want. And then the next day I really try to intuitively eat and hydrate, because I'm kind of like, I probably overdid it last night. So today I'm going to listen to my body. If I'm really hungry, I'll eat a lot. But also if I wake up and I'm kind of full because I ate late, I may not have a huge breakfast. And that kind of helps me to like reset. And it also helps to put me in like a good mental place and like have a good relationship with the fact that I did that last night, and that's great. If I have clients who are doing it every weekend and they say, hey, I want to do this every weekend, then yeah, we strategize. Maybe we change their plan a little bit to where I adjust the calories knowing that Saturday they're going to consume like 2 days worth of calories. So maybe we'll adjust the whole week to be in a little bit of a deficit all week. So at the end of the day, the whole week's calories is what's going to count, and macros, of course. It's more than just calories. So I could do it that way. I would say most of my clients, though, are more like me, and they eat pretty healthy. And if anything, they need to just, if anything, they need to just like,
Where do you find those clients
go
again?
out.
What do you?
I mean, Weston. Weston, yeah.
By the way, I wanted to ask you something before we move on, because I
Yeah.
think it's important to clarify this every time that it brings up. How long did it take you to feel like you could intuitively eat properly?
Yeah, and I listened to your guys' episode about that. It was great. And I think it's very important because I do agree with what you guys were saying, that intuitive eating has become kind of like a trending thing. And I don't know if that's weird or what, but I think it's important because if everyone just intuitively ate and didn't know anything about nutrition, I would intuitively eat carrot cake every day. And I'd be like, this feels awesome. You know what I mean?
I'm
But
listening to my body.
I would say years. I mean, when I was a little girl, I didn't think about it. I probably didn't eat that healthy growing up, and then went to college, dealt with a lot of like dieting, not dieting. Then I started tracking macros for a few years, got a little like obsessive with that. Then I took a complete break for like a year and a half where my fitness was all over the place, but I was just trying to rekindle that relationship with food and myself. And then after that, like now I track pretty much Monday to Friday. Today I didn't because I didn't have time, so I just kind of grabbed some sushi. But I knew, all right, I kind of had a low protein breakfast because I track. So I need something that's a little bit higher protein. Tonight, Emily doesn't know it, but I'm going to ask her if we could do ceviche because I know I'm still kind of low on protein. So it's like I am thinking macros. But also, if tonight, like, I want a piece of cake and I really want it, I have been eating healthy all week, I'm going to have it. So it's listening to what I want, but also listening to my hunger.
And then adjust to, like, if you have the cake today, you adjust for tomorrow. You know that tomorrow
Yeah,
you're going to
unless
behave a little bit
if
better.
I wake up with like extreme hunger, like I'll eat.
Yeah.
Even if I know I went over calories or anything, like I'll still eat a lot the next day. And I think that's where like the intuitive part comes into it, right? Like, or if I wake up and I'm like really, really full, maybe I'll have like a banana and like a little scoop of peanut butter.
Also, what are your goals right now? Are your goals to change your body composition, or just kind of to stay healthy, stay strong?
Maintain. Like,
Right.
I'm always trying to like switch up my programming, which kind of adds to like physical changes. The more I train strength or hypertrophy or endurance, it's things my body will adapt to that. But calorie wise, I'm trying to just hang out and maintain. I mean, I don't have any like big events coming up or anything. I always want to look like pretty good, but I like the way I look. I think I look pretty good. And it's taken me a while to be able to say that and get to this place. So like I'm really proud of myself.
Good.
Yeah.
What about you, Emily? What do you track?
No, I do not track. So when
Have you ever tracked before?
Yes. So when I started my fitness journey, I was very big on the macros, the counting calories. It was great because I was able to learn a lot about like how much I should eat, what works best for me, eating this amount of protein, carbs. And then I became obsessed with it, and I needed to run away. So I stopped, I took a little break, and, I was still up and down with my fitness journey. And a couple of years ago, I just started, okay, I want to have a healthy relationship with food and, feel good about what I'm eating. So I want to try, it wasn't like really called intuitive eating then, but I was like, I want to try eating based off how I feel and making sure, now that I know how much I need to eat throughout a day, just make sure I hit that protein. That was kind of my main focus. I didn't really care about how much carbs or how much fat that I was eating. I just wanted to like maintain that protein. And then after a while, I kind of, learned what works. And I'm pretty in tune. Like if I know, I didn't eat enough or I got too busy that I didn't get to have like my snack, I like make it up later in that day or the next day. And if I'm going to go out with my friends, I'm going to eat what I want. Yeah. And then
so you'd say tracking helped you. It sounds like
it did help to learn. Like portions.
It seems to be like a common trend for everybody.
It was definitely a good learning experience. If I hadn't gone through that, I probably would have had a harder time knowing how much carbs, protein, fats I should be eating or how much calories I should be eating for my body throughout a day, because everybody's different. And like how energy wise too. Like there were some days that like, you know, I was like, you know, wanted to be like this 6-pack, like, you know, perfect aesthetic, because that's what I saw when I was like 16, you know? And, you know, I saw how much damage that did with like my relationship with food, and I never wanted to like deal with that again. And that's why I love training, because I want to help other people and like not go through that, because that just sucks.
Seems to me like tracking is, there's a quote, it's less about where you get, it's about who you become getting there.
Yeah.
That's how I kind of
I've never heard that. I like that.
Yeah, so now it's just,
I like that.
it's just intuitive, and I
Hey, but like educated intuitive.
and,
you know
and
what I mean?
And I
With experience.
I
But
love how
intuitive, but also it kind of sounds like you have some sort of a meal plan in your mind too. Like it's intuitive in a sense where like you won't eat if you're hungry, but like you do know like you have this snack and like you have this like you have structure to your day too.
I prepare. I have to, otherwise I won't eat.
Yeah, because some people intuitive eat and they have like one meal a day.
No.
And it's like.
And then there's times that I know that I should eat even though I'm not hungry, and I will make myself eat, because for my body type, I have a hard time keeping on that muscle mass that I build. And I know the only way I can keep it is by eating. You got to eat. Yeah. So, you know, I'll be like, okay, I'm not really hungry, but I'll have a banana.
You know you need to eat, right? Yeah. So I think it depends. I mean, you have to assess each person and their mental health and relationship with food. But I think we all know that to reach certain fitness goals, you have to eat a certain way and consume X amount of calories. Macros are important. It's a case-by-case basis, though, on which is more important for the individual. And I think, you know, if you find something that works for you, that's great. Work with a coach. That also could change. Like, you could be tracking one year, the other year, maybe you don't need to because other things going on in your life. So it depends.
Yeah.
Depends, guys.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Cool. Almost wrapping up here.
Before we wrap up, and I know we're almost done, we didn't write this down, and I know we wanted to go into this, so I'm going to ask that question. What do you guys, and we already talked about this topic kind of, but I want to ask it anyway. What do you guys think of birth control?
Oh, yeah.
It's a very touchy subject in today's atmosphere.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of information that has come out.
I feel like we talked about this.
First?
So,
We're going
personally,
viral, guys. We're going
personally, this is not birth control as a whole. Personally, I hate it. I hate it.
Agreed.
I was on it.
Die.
I feel like it turned me into a different person. Definitely my hormones were way out of whack. I feel like we're not meant to take that. On the other hand, though, I understand not everyone has accessibility to things like condoms and stuff, and not everyone's as fortunate to be able to have that, to purchase that, and maybe they have this and they don't have that. So I understand also, though, if you are trying to be responsible and you know you're not financially ready to have a child and you don't have the living situation, like there's a lot of factors that go into that. I think practice safe sex, be responsible, because that is like a child you could potentially bring into the world. So like be ready. But yeah, I don't want to put any hormones in my body. I feel way better now that I got off of it. So,
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of different factors. Everyone's in different situations in their life. But I feel that birth control really F's you up.
Yeah.
Well, I was on
There you
it, and it
go.
took me a year to get back.
So I have a story to tell all of you. I was actually listening to this last night. You know how one of the reasons we judge attraction to someone is through pheromones.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the pheromones for men are present in sweat. So they did a study. It was 3 control groups. One part of the men was sweating profusely. The other were sweating moderate. And the last one weren't sweating at all. And they asked girls to just smell the t-shirt and assess how attractive they thought the guys were. Some girls said the profusely. Some girls said the intermediate. Some girls said the no sweat at all. And then there was one group of girls that was like there was no trend. They were all over the place. And they went to study and see what the hell was wrong with those girls.
They were on birth
birth
control.
control. Also, the period
Wow.
you get when you're on birth control is not a real period. So it's like it messes everything up. The pheromones, your period,
Your hormones.
getting off of it. I didn't get my period back for I don't know how long. So I believe it.
I almost got diagnosed with PCOS when I got off of it, because I was like, what is wrong with me? I'm breaking out. I can't
is that?
figure out polycystic ovarian syndrome. So a lot of girls actually deal with it, and it's, you get acne, you can grow facial hair, your testosterone is
You gain a lot of weight.
abnormally high. You have trouble getting pregnant. So a lot of things like that. And that really scared me.
Yeah.
So I was like, I need to get on it.
Yeah. Sounds
And
important.
it just took time because I had been on it for so long that I just had to be patient and just like, do what I can that I had in my control and just wait for my body to like, level out.
But that's the thing, like you did that, but like how many people and how many girls do you know who say like, oh, my period's all over the place or I haven't got it, so the doctor told me I should get back on birth control to regulate my period.
I've also heard it for like acne.
Yeah. When
Acne,
it's like,
they do
no,
it
look
for
at your
painful
food, look at your
cramps.
sleep, look at your stress, look at your relationships. Like, there's so many other things, but it's a lot of work for a doctor to explain all that. So
Yeah.
sometimes, and it's a lot of different things. Like, they'd have to go see this specialist and that specialist, and that's the thing. Like, we are our own specialists. Like, you have to realize everything connects and works together, and doctors are great. Like, there's a place for each doctor and every test and some medications, but you have to know where and when to go to do that, and when to be like, you know what, thanks for the advice, but I'm gonna go do my own thing.
And another thing I'll say is there's a lot of tools out there now that you don't need to be on birth control to track, when you're the most fertile.
The new
and-
Apple Watch.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that you can do to prevent pregnancy
Yeah.
without being on birth control.
Yeah.
So,
I know too, like women who take it as they're older than they want to have kids, sometimes they have trouble.
Right.
So,
Cool.
yeah, I think we both don't
we
like
want
it.
the body functioning the way it was supposed to.
Yeah, but again, not everyone has access, so those are things to consider as well.
Last topic of the day for you girls. Very last question.
So sad.
If you can both please briefly share your favorite client success story, your favorite transformation you have experienced in your years of training other people.
That's a hard one.
That is a hard one.
You guys are probably like, oh, we have so many.
I'm just thinking like which way I want to go. I mean, one.
We don't need another episode for this then.
I know. Okay, so I'll say one. And it's I have two, okay.
Okay, go ahead.
But the one that I was really thinking of, so I have this little boy. He's so cute. I started training him when he was 8 years old.
Wow.
He's on the spectrum. Very little, homeschooled, and he's homeschooled for health reasons because they want to keep his immune system good. They don't want him. When he started training me, he's so cute. He looked like a little stick figure, right? We got him training. We got him working out. And his way of training was way different. I was making obstacle courses in the gym, getting him on the bike, doing just human movement activities with him. And like a year later, his mom comes to me and she goes, guess what I bought him this weekend? A bike. And he was now, from working out with me, confident and strong enough to ride a bike at home outside.
Dude, you're gonna make me cry.
And I was like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. This little boy is so cute and has so much potential. And, and now that I've been working with him, he can ride a freaking bike. That's awesome.
It's life-changing, for sure.
So that's one of my favorites.
One of your favorites. Oh, I love that. Okay, mine. Yeah, I have two. I'm sorry. They're so different. So one girl started off, didn't really know anything about fitness, completely under eating, hated herself, transformed her through the barbell, and she was eating like a
Let's
beast,
go.
and she looked amazing. Like that lean, muscular, like she fell in love with fitness. So that was amazing. And then opposite end, I have a client now who's 72.
Wow.
And
Damn.
he has structural scoliosis, and he had never lifted before. The doctor told him, you should really just focus on working out your chest to balance it out. Exactly. The same face that you guys made is what I made. And I was like, wait. So his shoulders are already really rounded. So why would you only focus on the chest? I don't know. Not sure. But he's goblet squatting. He's deadlifting. He's doing push-ups on the ground. Like, incredible. You can't completely fix that, but his shoulders are way more pulled back. We do base pulls. And yeah, he recently slipped on a bag of onions in his kitchen and was able to catch himself in like a lunge and didn't
Nice.
fall.
Super
So those were the two.
Very
Yeah.
exciting.
Beautiful.
That's good.
All right,
That's
thanks for
amazing.
sharing. That was awesome.
Of course.
Ladies.
That's what it's about.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's why we do this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So amazing.
That's how we change
Helping
lives
people
and
is
make it
our
better.
life. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And learning. And
Always.
learning. Yeah.
Cool. Well, this was a great information-packed episode. I definitely learned a lot.
I'm
A lot
gonna
of things
have
that
to
I
listen
had.
to this
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, me
I had
too.
no idea even existed. So thank you for sharing everything that you guys shared.
Yeah, thank you guys.
If people enjoyed this podcast, where can they find you? Please plug yourselves once more.
So me, Morgan, they can find me at Morganic_lifestyle on Instagram, morganic.lifestyle.com. Instagram.com and at Morganic_lifestyle on TikTok. Yeah, it's a Morganic lifestyle.
And you can find me at EmilyMarie_apparel or EmilyMarieApparel.com. That is for my active wear brand, but you can still find me there. And at USI, Ultimate Sports Institute in Weston.
There we go.
Yeah, if you're in the South Florida area, come check her out.
Yeah.
Gentlemen.
All right, Andres, right here. As always, you can find me on Instagram at AC_performstrong and website coming soon.
Oh, nice.
Jose at liftingforthebetter.com, Lifting for the Better Instagram, Lifting for the Better TikTok.
There you go.
Nick, NB Performance Training on Instagram, NB Performance on TikTok. And that's pretty much about it. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you guys got a lot of value from that episode, and I'll see you in the next one.